Update. I, 27 male. Think my son's new friend could be his half-brother. I guess I was right in the end. He's mine. This whole freaking time I had another kid. Lucky that his mom was willing to talk to me about this. It wasn't easy not doing this in front of the kids, but I managed to ask her to meet up alone to talk. When I asked her the obvious, she started crying. And she said when we broke up she found out about the pregnancy but thought her boyfriend back then was the father. But she revealed the cheating to him and they did a paternity test after she gave birth. He wasn't the father, so he left. Then she didn't want to say nothing to me because we weren't in contact anymore and she knew I didn't want to see her again, so she thought at the time maybe I'd reject my son. Holy fuck, was I pissed. When we were talking about this I was half yelling, crying over the whole thing. No matter how many times she told me sorry for assuming I wouldn't want anything to do with him, that act still made me miss out on my son. Because now we were in this sort of fucked up scenario of our kids being friends and not knowing he's also my kid. My ex still hasn't stopped apologizing. I'm trying not to stay mad at her. She seems like she really regrets it and so far she's agreed to everything I've asked. Paternity test for starters, where we got the proof I'm his biological dad. Wanting to spend time with him, let him know I'm his dad. None of this has been easy. The kids seem to be having a better time adjusting. My son just thinks it's cool right now to suddenly have a big brother. But I think when that excitement wears off there will be more stuff to deal with. My eldest is more shy around me. Back then he didn't really care. She already told him I'm his dad and we did a one-on-one meeting recently. Got to know him better and do something together, just me and him. It was a nice time. He still comes over with my son so they can hang out or I see them together after school. Guess for me it's been hard seeing him. And knowing we still have a long way to go to building an actual relationship. Wish we could have had that since the beginning. It's still so trippy thinking about it though. My son unknowingly became friends with a kid he didn't even know was his half-brother. Then what if I knew about him back then? Would my youngest even exist right now if she would have told me? My mind goes down the rabbit hole with that one. At least this hasn't affected their friendship. I'm hoping it stays strong the more I get to be part of his life and he becomes more part of our lives. Original post. Yeah. Missing out is a damned shame for you both. But I am simultaneously happy that both kids exist and are not just brothers, but actually like each other as people. That's pretty great. Remember that you will have more time with your new son in the future than time you have missed. Enjoy the next 60 years of being a dad to these two boys. How's your current wife taking this? Or are you in a relationship? Congratulations on your boy. Cherry Blossom, I hope things get better. That kid is lucky to have a dad who wants to be involved. All the best, man. It sounds like she knows she made a selfish decision, after plenty of other selfish choices. Hopefully now she is willing to co-parent. He's lucky it's you. I'm so sorry for the years you missed, but it's not your fault and it sounds like you're handling it well. He's lucky to have you as a dad, they both are. So cute how they became friends. He could have been friends with anyone but he connected with his brother. That's what I call meant to be. Absolutely meant to have the family together. I love this so much. Congratulations, even if it's a bit late. Update. My husband is upset that I want to go back to work after maternity leave. So I have posted here, about 2 weeks ago, about my husband not wanting me to go back to work after maternity leave. I got a lot of real good advice. I just want to clarify some things about my post that many seem to have misinterpreted. I'm sorry my language wasn't very clear. I don't work 4-5 days plus weekends. I work 35-45 per week in total and sometimes it's during the weekend. Staying at home mom isn't normal in my country. Daycare is free and we don't have nanny. I'm saying this because I want you to understand why I was taken aback about this whole situation. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to stay-at-home moms. He can't get sole custody just because of his wealth. Or because of my work hours. It doesn't work like this here, thank God. But I'm thankful for those who expressed worry about that because I know this is the sad reality in other parts of the world. So to the update, I have had long talks with my husband about all of what happened, trying to understand his POV. I have told him that I can't see myself as a housewife, ever, but that I am willing to start looking for jobs with better hours or that I can finally start my own restaurant. I could start searching for a location in office buildings and start a lunch spot so then I don't need to work evenings and weekends. He didn't seem happy at all with that suggestion. He asked me why I'm so insistent on going back to work. He said these last months have been the happiest of his life, coming home from work every day to his family, and that he thought I am happy too. I am. I love being with my babies all day, but just because I'm enjoying my maternity leave it doesn't mean I don't want to go back to work. In fact, I'm enjoying every minute now because I know it's not permanent." We had a row. He said he's always felt that I'm scared of him making much more money and that I'm scared of being dependent on him, so if I'm insisting on working because I don't want to be dependent, he could pay me 10x what I earn to stay home. I started crying and told him I'm not going to be a housewife and I don't accept ultimatums, so he should do what he felt fit. He said he's tired of going around feeling that his wife is intimidated by his success. He's doing this for both of us. I have to admit that I'm sometimes scared of him having more power than me. He said it's all in my head, but really would he ever dare to ask me to quit my job if he didn't feel he had the power to do it? Could I ask him to quit his job with that same ease? There's no denying the power dynamics in our relationship and I have all the right to be scared of it. So there was no progress really, and no matter how much I explained myself he doesn't seem to understand me. And probably he feels the same way with me. It feels like we're on different levels. I have suggested counseling. He said he will think about it. Now we're just civil to each other, but we don't talk much and we haven't been intimate since I first brought up going back to work. I love him and I miss him. I don't want it to end, but the ball is in his court now. My mom is very angry with me. We haven't spoken for a week. I don't know what to do with her either. I don't think it's fair of him to force this situation on you. You are a full person, not just a wife or mother. You deserve to live your life in a way that is best for yourself too. Women are all too often expected to destroy themselves entirely for motherhood in a way men are not, and that is simply unfair. Working gives you independence, which your husband seems threatened by, and adult socialization, which really is a need for mental health. Humans are social creatures and not meant to be alone stuck in a house all day. If your husband can't understand that, then let him be mad. He doesn't get to control your life just because you two had babies. He's acting like you want to go party all day and neglect your responsibilities instead of just be a regular adult doing regular adult shit. I'm very confused as to why he is latching onto you being a housewife so desperately. He seems almost obsessed with you staying home. As other people are saying, try couples therapy. He doesn't want to see your side because he wants you to be dependent on him. If you aren't happy being a housewife, then don't. Don't make yourself smaller for anyone. He prioritizes his happiness at the expense of yours. He literally proposed that he buys from you your need for fulfillment. The misfire here is that he's only looking at it from a money point of view and not a fulfillment. Food is your art, in driven artist we need to create. It's about building an identity through your craft. It's building something. He works for money. You work for self-fulfillment. You will send up a depressed shell of yourself if you become a housewife. You need to accept that this marriage is over. Get your lawyer and get him out of your life. I strongly recommend not giving in to him, solely because financial independence is what keeps women strong in marriage. And when your partner wants you to not be financially independent, it is alarm bells. Get a lawyer and get him out of your life. So there was no progress really, and no matter how much I explained myself he doesn't seem to understand me. He understands you completely. What you don't seem to understand is that you are married to a fucking immature prick and wannabe sadist who thinks that making you a housewife will enable him to torture you for the next 30 years. Get the fuck out. Tell him that you don't feel fulfilled as just a housewife. My ex-GF slept with the guy she told me not to worry about. Update. Not sure why, but my original post got taken down. Myself, M, and my ex, F, are both 21. Short story. Ex-girlfriend of 2.5 years ended up sleeping with the guy she told me not to worry about. She said she would never do anything with him and he is ugly, within 2 weeks of us taking a break on ourselves. And then proceeded to tell me I need to change if we want to get back together. I'm probably leaving a lot out, but it looks like really just took a break from us to sleep with not to worry about guy and put it on me to change myself. Update. I think over 135 have commented to say fuck you to her. And I did. At first she called me OFC asking to talk and asked me if I wanted to get back together. And I yelled at her. I yelled out every ounce of hate and anger and pain at her. For her to only say, him and I just have a emotional connection but we don't want to date, and he has the best personality that I have ever met. And later she said, I do miss you, and I miss us. But I don't think I can be with who you are right now. I told her I feel the same way about you. So that's it, fuck her. Can't even admit that she just wanted to fuck around with another guy. I'm gonna end it here, my hand are bleeding a little from hitting the wall. If you want to know more details because I left some out from the original post, just let me know. So, she's saying that it was okay because she was only fucking his personality. I'm gonna end it here, my hand are bleeding a little from hitting the wall. There are much better ways of taking out your anger, such a good hard run. Much less painful than punching walls. I'm so glad you didn't break and take her back. Keep being strong. Punching walls is concerning and just what you described in your reaction. I think it's troubling you let a bunch of randos drum you up to get more angry and curse her out. You two were on a break. You are mad that she said not to worry about a specific guy and then fucks him and compliments him after you are yelling at her? And clearly her response was to say something to set you off. You were yelling at her. She probably sucks, IDK her. But my advice is go to therapy and work out your anger because you gotta deal with your feelings in a healthier way. I mean, the comments didn't really say that, but it's good you got your feelings out and are ready to move on, and punched a wall instead of her. Your original post is still, mostly, up. It reached limits and was shut down due to that. Dude. I don't care how upset you are, that's no fucking excuse to not take care of yourself and your property. Tape up your hands and hit a heavy bag. I have a suggestion. Take a deep breath, let it out, and let go of your anger. She lied to you. She's a shitty person. And now you know that you are better off without her in your life. Guess what that means? She did you a favor. She could have dragged this on much longer, sunk her claws into you much deeper, had a kid with you, married you, and then done this. Instead, she did it now. It sucks, but you are 21 and free. Thank her for showing you what kind of person she really is and move on. Don't punch walls, the only loser in that battle is you. I think I got disowned. So basically, I'm a 15F, and yesterday I made a pretty huge mistake. My dad asked my brother and I to take down the Christmas tree. Yes, we left it up for a pretty long time. Now, my brother is a couple years younger than me, so obviously, he's less mature. While doing this, we ended up having an argument. I asked him to grab a box for the ornaments, which he refused to do and instead just sat around doing nothing, which ended up with both of us storming up to our rooms in anger. My dad came home and comforted my brother as he was crying, then came to me. I had locked the door, and I refused to open it for him. He then kicked the door down and stormed into my room, hitting me twice before yelling at me about how I don't respect anyone. Now, I'm 15, so I'm no longer scared of getting hit or yelled at. It may have worked on me when I was 7 or 8, but now, I just stood my ground and demanded my dad get out of my room. After yelling back and forth for a while, he left. After a bit, he came back and apologized for hitting me, and I just completely shut him out. He's done things like this before. He does something horrible to me, apologizes, if he's in a good mood, then pretends like it never happened. I was sick of it and yelled at him to go away. Later on, he left the house. I had planned to go to the bus stop and to the library after he leaves, but the second he left, my mom came back. She decided to sit outside my door and told me that I wasn't going to go anywhere as she didn't trust me to not get kidnapped or anything, and offered to drive me to the library herself. I refused, and instead stomped out of the house and ran to the bus stop. When I saw that she was following me, I ran into a nearby forest, causing both of my parents to come home to search for me. When they found me, I yelled at them to stay away from me and to leave me alone, with me raising my voice every time my mom started dialing 911. Since she said I was going crazy. We eventually struck a deal. If I left the forest, they would leave me alone. I agreed. I ended up lurking in my neighborhood for an hour or so before my dad told me to come home, and I agreed as it was getting pretty cold. I went home, took a shower, and my mom demanded to come into my room. She told me that because I argued with my brother so much, I had 3 choices. 1. They kick me out of the house. 2. They treat me like a stranger. 3. My parents get a divorce and separate the two of us. I was obviously mad, and I yelled at her to go away. My dad later came on by, and told me that from now on, I was a stranger to them and they were going to treat me as such. So, I basically got disowned. Any advice? And no, apologizing won't work. The last time I got into an argument, I apologized and hugged my mom, which is a really big deal. I never hug anyone, but my mom just pushed me away and yelled at me some more. And this argument is much bigger than any others I've ever had before. And #X200B. Edit. I can't move out. While the other 2 things my mom threatened, getting a divorce and treating me like a stranger, weren't empty threats, There's no way they would let me move out by myself, and besides, I'm too young to legally do that. And no, I don't have any family I can stay with. I'm also a huge introvert IRL, so I don't have many friends I can move in with. I do have a job though, and I have around $1,000 saved up, but it's a freelance design job that isn't very stable. I don't have enough time in my schedule to get a real job, and besides, my parents don't want me spending too much time in indoor spaces because of COVID. And #X200B. Edit 2. I'm Asian, so hitting and getting yelled at is pretty common here. Truth be told, I'm scared of calling the police or CPS or anything. When I was young, my parents warned me not to do it, and they're right about some points. My family is well off financially, so if I went to a foster home or something, I wouldn't have a good education. Right now, I go to a private school with a guarantee of my college tuition being paid for, and I'm not ready to give that up. Another thing to note is that my parents haven't hit me in around 4 years or so, as I was getting too old for it, so this was out of ordinary. My brain went into a fight or flight mode, and my only thought was to get as far away from them as possible. And #X200B. Edit 3. I've had a therapist before, but due to trust issues, I stopped. There was this one incident that made my brain click from, this therapist is on my side, to, this therapist isn't. Ever since then, I haven't really trusted any mental health professionals in fear that I would go to a mental hospital. I've been to one before, as I've been diagnosed with severe depression and anxiety. There's no way I would trust my school counselors and teachers. And #X200B. Edit 4. No, the divorce thing isn't an empty threat. She's already have had personal problems with my dad, and she's ran away before, and even started looking for new houses to purchase online. Add her personal issues with my dad to the fact that my brother and I argue all the time, then it isn't hard to believe that she'll go through with her threat. And #X200B. Edit 5. Geez, I really wasn't clear in my original post, huh? When I said that my dad hit me, I don't mean the kind where I break a rib or have bruises or anything. I'm Asian, so the kind of hitting I mean is where parents hit you as a punishment. It's more severe than spanking, but less severe than the point where I have injuries. I don't remember whether I had bruises when I was younger, but this time, he hit me in the head so I didn't get any. And yes, I'm in the US so it's technically illegal here, but no, I don't think CPS is a good option for me. I don't want to go into a foster home. What the actual fuck? Children argue, if they can't handle that they shouldn't have gotten children. You did not do anything wrong here. Why should you apologize? I'm not sure if hitting your children is legal where you live, but I'd definitely go to the police if I were you. Do you have any other family you can stay with? Grandparents or aunts, uncles? You're the victim of serious abuse and they are making you feel like it's your fault. Your family is insane. Ask for the divorce and let's see her reaction. I'm so sorry you've gone through that. No matter what you do, you don't deserve to be physically hit. Is there a teacher or a friend who you can talk to about it? Maybe go stay with a friend because your home life isn't ideal and you should get out. You're being abused. Your parents are psychotic. In a lot of countries these days there are government services that are meant to protect children. Get on Facebook and ask everyone who you can contact so that you can leave legally. Your parents are psychopaths. You're being seriously abused. I don't have a good advice for you, but maybe contact child services and ask to move out to a foster home for the remaining 3 years until you're 18?